it takes me to get back across Vancouver. Pretty much a pro now, driving in the big city. Y'all are crazy in the big city though. Okay, wait, roundabout, right? Yield to roundabout traffic. Let's try to get into this roundabout.
17 days, and now I'm
Can I get in
making
here?
money.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to refinance to get cash out to buy another investment property, but my bank gave me the runaround because my monthly income fluctuates and my credit score is okay, but not great.
When Linda called, I knew our bank statement mortgage was the answer because she qualified using her bank statements, not her tax returns.
What a difference!
Hit. 7, 8.
Orange, California, 928 128-231. Equal housing lender, not licensed in all states, including New York. Call 855-657-9990 for licensing terms and restrictions.
That's 877-860 cash.
Oh, 70. Oh. Oh, 50. Oh, 70. Where's the serious radio? No satellite resets in here.
To research, it can be too up. Let's see.
Turn around.
Allison, and we created skirt-style sponges because we were sick of it. The dirty little secret about regular sponges is that they are a breeding ground for bacteria, and they stink in more ways than one. But skirt-style sponges are made of a patented polyurethane foam and are antimicrobial, so they dry fast and don't smell. Plus, our bait-to-change design tells you when it's time to replace them. And with our easy...
Come on, Sunday driver!
Right to your door. Go to
Jesus!
Come now. Enter CNN.
Start honking my horn.
Free. Just pay shipping. You can cancel at any time. That's SKURA.
Oh my God.
And try
Step on it.
Show that was called Life Changing. That's
Will you?
SKURA.style.com. Promo code CNN.
Through September 30th, 2018.
This weekend, you'll have food for the room, cold drinks,
Oh,
and
Emma.
perfect guest list. Of course, you want to impress. An easy way to do delicious.
Jeez, I'm dumb.
Mac and cheese from Bob Evans.
God.
Ingredients like real milk, butter, and cheese. Bob Evans sides pair perfectly with whatever you're cooking this weekend and be ready in minutes, so you can focus on the before your cookout. Find Bob Evans sides in the refrigerated section at your favorite grocery store.
She seems happier. Her fur is so much shinier, silkier, softer. She has really grown a lot. Sheeta is a 105 lean pounds of shiny, smooth, happy dog for life. The shedding has stopped. The itching has stopped.
Since 2001, we've helped more than 250,000 dogs get over their nutritional deficiency miseries.
And saved our customers bazillions in vet bills.
Everything we tried failed except the Dynovite.
Come to Dynovite for help.
DINOVITE.com. If you want the dog to be healthy, you gotta feed it something healthy. The omega-3 fatty acids, flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa, the digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food. Dynovite is nutrition.
Dynovite for life.
Don't let your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy.
Come to Dynovite for help.
859
My dog stinks.
859-428-1000.
It smells like the Dumas. Like the moss that grows on the logs.
Mixed messages this morning from Capitol Hill over the future of Attorney General Jeff Sessions, a man the president has, of course, publicly bashed on Twitter repeatedly and privately talked about firing. Sources telling CNN Sessions he's getting calls of support, though, from some Republican senators, most notably Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell.
I have total confidence in the Attorney General. I think he ought to stay exactly where he is.
This, of course, comes after a stunning about-face by McConnell's Republican colleague, Senator Lindsey Graham, who opened the door to getting rid of Sessions, saying the Attorney General's relationship with the president is, in his words, beyond repair. Joining me now to discuss Republican Senator John Hoeven from North Dakota. Sir, good to have you with us today. Do you support Attorney General Jeff Sessions?
I do. Yeah, I mean, I think at this time it would be difficult to make a change, and so he has a good rapport, obviously, with the Congress, with the Senate.
6-1 to join fellow Canadians Milos Raonic, Denis Shapovalov and Vashek Pospisil at the next stage. The intense heat is not helping things in New York, with the humidity making it feel around 40 degrees at Flushing Meadows. No fewer than 6 players quit their matches, with at least 4 citing cramp or heat exhaustion. Another heavy loss for the Blue Jays. Justin Smoke belted his 20th home run of the season. Randall Grichuk also went long, but the Jays went down 12-5 to the Orioles. They'll try to avoid the sweep tonight at Camden Yards. Josh Donaldson made his comeback down in Dunedin. The Jays' third baseman went 1 for 2 with a walk and an RBI single on his return from a long-standing calf injury. It's expected he'll be traded before Friday's deadline. Toronto FC will try and inch closer to the playoffs tonight in Portland. The reigning MLS Cup champions may have to make do without top scorer Sebastian Giovinco, who's nursing a groin injury. TFC are 6 points off the pace with 9 games remaining. Former Montreal captain Laurent Simon is heading back to Europe. The Belgium international centre-back is leaving LAFC to return to France to join early leaders Dijon after 4 years in MLS. That's your look at sports. I'm Nigel Reid.
In other news,
you're listening to Q on CBC Radio 1, Sirius XM 169.
a guy honked at a minivan
Public Radio
outside the Chevron.
In for Tom Power. Like so many kids out there, maybe you were the same when you were little, Tomi Adeyemi grew up loving books. You couldn't tear her away from fantasy novels if you tried.
Program.
She was the type to pore over every page and obsess over these magical characters. But as she got older, she started to realize that none of these fantasy worlds ever looked like the place she was from, Nigeria. And none of her heroes ever really looked like her. For Tomi, this was actually inspiring. It reignited her imagination.
Speed limit's 50.
She started writing her
and
own
everyone's
novel,
doing
her
70.
first novel, at just 24
I'm
years
just doing
old,
65.
Children of Blood and Bone. And before the book even made it out of the printers, Tomi signed on to write a whole trilogy, and she landed a movie deal. Tom Power had a chance to speak with Tomi recently about this new fantasy world that she's created, and the one thing that all these kinds of novels had that captivated her as a kid.
Definitely the magic. I think just the imagination, like the limit, like having no limits with imagination. I remember with the first story I ever wrote, it was very much based in our world, and it had the things that I thought were magical. So it had like saris from my favorite Bollywood film, and it had horses, and it had a twin because of the Parent Trap. So those were the closest things I had to magic for my imagination at that age. But as soon as I experienced Harry Potter, like every story I wrote just had lots and lots of magic in it.
It must be so exciting to like love fantasy so much, and I know this may sound a bit reductive, but just like actually be able to sit down and write it yourself. That must be so beautiful.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's been so interesting living through people reading the book for the first time. I mean, people had read advanced copies, so I had some feedback, I had some interaction, but like now that the book is out and like anyone can go and grab it, just seeing people being like, I read this in 6 hours, where's book 2, and all of these other things, and it's just bringing me back to my childhood of like, you know, it's like, oh, the new Prisoner of Azkaban just dropped, and you're like shouting to your neighbors like, okay, I'll see you in 48 hours, and we'll discuss everything. Like, it's really, part of me is like, God, I wish I didn't write it so I could join them in the experience, but it's really cool to contribute to something I've loved really all my life.
Well, speaking of all your life, I mean, tell me a little bit about making this book reflective of your own background.
Yeah, so, yeah, you said it in the intro, but I started to realize, I think I was 18 when I consciously realized that all of these things I love didn't really have me in them. And I realized it subconsciously, but in the way a kid realizes things. Like, you know, when I was young and I was like, okay, you know,
after
Sarah
400 meters, turn left, Highway 99, Granville Street.
Okay. Next at Safeway. Please turn left.
Turn left.
Okay. Will do.
It was basically, I cloned myself because I
Okay,
wanted
back
to
to
twin.
Prisoner of
So it's like Tony
Azkaban.
rode on the horse with their twin Tony. But from basically that story until I was 18, all of my
Oh my god, I'm on
protagonists in
Granville
these
Street
magical
now.
adventures were white or they were biracial. And so I
Oh my
realized
god.
that being erased from fantasy wasn't just something that was like unfortunate or
On the
something that didn't
Granville.
feel good. It had actually really negatively impacted the way I saw myself and the way I saw what I could do. And because I was writing these stories like alone in my room, like no one knew about them, I was never going to show them to the world. So the fact that even in my own imagination, I could send people into these magical realms where they
Oh, why? Why am I going this way? Oh, man. Shoot.
couldn't picture them being black. I realized that
Please
was a huge
reroute
problem.
me.
So from that
GPS?
point on, I knew I had to write. And I didn't admit to myself I wanted to be a writer, but I knew it was important for me to write stories, magical stories, with black protagonists because I needed to save other little black girls from sitting in the room thinking they didn't even belong in their own imaginations. But as I got more serious about wanting to write and wanting to get published, realizing that we have these epic, like things like An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir, and like The Wrath of the Dawn by like Renee Ahdieh, seeing these magical adventures in worlds that weren't
After 1,000 meters, keep right.
1,000 meters, keep right.
Epic Asian fantasy. And so that's what I had growing up. And then when I started to get serious about, okay, I want to get published and my first book isn't going to do it, let me figure out why. Seeing like, oh, we have these Persian fantasies, we have these Middle Eastern / like Roman fantasies. I was like, oh my gosh, I can write, like, not only do I want to write a West African fantasy, but like I think the market would like it too. So it was this great thing of like, here's what's in my heart, here's the story and adventure I want to tell, but also here's what's missing. Like I
After
can't
400
find
meters,
one. I definitely
keep
can't
right,
find one for
then
YA, so
turn right.
I know that there's a good chance that this will be something that other people want to read too.
It's really interesting. I'm especially struck by the author's note. And you say to the reader, if your heart broke for Zaylee's grief over the death of her mother, Zaylee, the protagonist of the book, you say then let it break for all the survivors of police brutality who had to witness their loved ones taken.
Keep right, then turn right.
Sorry. Diary entries you wrote after Philando Castile and Alton Sterling were killed by police.
I'm gonna get shot here.
Private writing and coping ends up in your novel.
Yeah, so the whole, like, even though this book is a big West African adventure, it's also a experience. So
shoot me. Oh, I'm thank God.
In some way,
people
but,
right up
as a storyteller,
the beige van.
The adventure comes first. If this
After
is just
800 meters, bear right, Highway 99, Seymour Street.
Oh my God.
It's mostly in what the characters are facing, what they're feeling, but there's this one moment in the book where, Zaylee's having an argument with someone, and she talks about being afraid, and for me, I wrote that, like you said, during the week of Philando Castile and Alton Sterling, just because of the video footage, but because they were literally back to back. So it's like one day I was reading over out in, I think, Portland, and then the next day I woke up and I was like, oh, they did it again, they did it worse.
Bear right, Highway 99, Seymour Street.
I got honked at. I didn't want to get honked at all. It breaks my heart when I get honked at.
I had this anxiety attack because I was literally terrified to get in my car and be, I was like, I'm already like, okay. Yeah, I was like, okay, you're an okay driver, but you're extremely emotionally stressed out. And so it's like, I was like, there could be even a legitimate reason to pull you over. And like, this happened on Tuesday, this happened on Wednesday. There's no reason this wouldn't happen to you today. So I was literally afraid for my life and like, I couldn't breathe. And I was really just terrified. And I was talking to my, boyfriend on the phone, and he's like, hey, you need to get up and you need to write. And he's like, and you need to write because it's the only thing. He's like, I can tell you anything I want to tell you. I can tell you, like you are going to be okay. I can tell you to skip work, but like the only thing that is going to make you feel better is writing right now. And he's like, that's also the thing that's going to help you not feel as helpless. So he's like, you're going to not feel as trapped in your fear, but you're also going to feel like you can do something about it if you put it to the page. So I did just put it to the page, and it's funny, this book has gone through so many revisions. So, you know, maybe the final hardcover is maybe like draft 45, and so this part was written really early, but it's the one part that has remained almost completely unchanged throughout the revision process.
It's funny, hey? I mean, we think of fantasy as this other world, as this place of, you know, elves.
After 350 meters, turn right, Highway 1A, West Georgia Street.
Yeah, it's the funny thing is too, I think there was a sort of, I don't know exactly, I can't
West
pinpoint
Georgia.
exactly what it was, but it was before I started writing.
Is it? Not this one? Oh man, I fucked up. I fudged up.
Turn right.
What it's like to be black or to be marginalized. You know, they're like, okay, you're this type of person and society does this and this and this to you, and it's like this big epic thing that happens in space, but I'm like, okay, that happens to be every day.
Now,
Hudson's Bay.
2 days ago, I think it was
smokes.
I was in Virginia for a teen book festival, and that morning, you know, I'm just scrolling through Twitter, and I see a video of this black man being assaulted and tasered by a police officer for jaywalking.
Okay, never mind.
Like just for jaywalking. It's all on video. And he jaywalked, and that's what happened to him. So it's just like, it almost felt, it felt unfair that I was like, it's this big imagination for people to imagine being persecuted in this way when this is the daily experience for not just black people, but like lots of marginalized people, like, you know, for refugees, for different religions, for different sexualities. It's like, this is people, I guess the actual
After 1.2 kilometers,
experience of being
keep
afraid
left.
for your life is not as far away for a lot of people. And to me, that was very important to kind of portray, and also to kind of peel the lid off and be like, okay, so this isn't just some big thing that happened in Imagination Galaxy. Like, this is happening to real people. And I think, you know, even when I said this, you said like, ooh, or wow. And I think that's part of the reason I really felt the need for the author's note too, to be like, yeah, we like to imagine all of these things as these big epic adventures, but this is happening. I was like, these are happening in our neighborhoods, these are happening in our cities, this is happening in our country. It's not just something where you're like, okay, maybe that's happening across the world. Like, a lot of people are living with a lot of fear and pain, and they live right next to you. So that's another thing I'm hoping for this book, is that it, you know, something that usually gets to people when I was like, for every time I got in my car in 2017, I didn't have an anxiety attack, but I was like, you could die. And I made my peace with that in that moment, and then I would like drive my car, and it didn't matter if I was just going to CVS to get like jelly beans. I was like, you know what, you could die because you are in your car right now. And
looks
you know
like the techno drone from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Knowing that people from a lot of different backgrounds have that experience or have different experiences like that, I think it's important to pull that apart, because usually when people
After 400 meters, keep left.
400 meters, turn left. How?
Keep left.
Keep left. I am the driver. It's joking. Thank you, GPS. Second time ever driving in a big city. I think yesterday I had to come back up this way to the right. I remember now. Okay, wait.
When I see fan art,
back to the program.
Like people sending you in.
Yeah, like tweeting me and being like, oh, here I drew Zaylee and Nyla and things like that. And it's from a lot of people from a lot of different backgrounds. So it's not just like black people drawing this art. It's like, you know, it's white people, it's Latina people, it's Asian people. It's like, it's really beautiful. So I'm seeing all of these different people creating such beautiful depictions of black people. And for me, I'm not like, oh, I created that. I'm just like, oh my God, you created something so beautiful. The reason this whole book existed is because I saw two different beautiful and magical depictions of Black people, and so now I'm getting like more and more and more of them, and it's an out of writer experience, I guess, because I'm not looking at it as like, oh my God, you created something beautiful for what I made.
He waved back.
I'm like, oh my God, I'm seeing this beautiful Black art for the first time, and that means so much to me. You know, I'm seeing what I needed to see when I was a kid. What would have probably helped me to write Black characters in my books when I was growing up. So on one, it's really hard. It's still really hard to process talking to it because I'm not in the like, oh, and you made the art that inspired them to make the art, which is inspiring me and making me feel seen. It's more just like, oh, this really cool thing exists. But I think too, when I've had some interactions, some really sweet interactions with readers of color who also want to be authors one day, or even just Nigerian readers. Like, oh God, I got the cutest fan mail from this Nigerian teenager in England the other day, and she's just like, I thought you were my sister because you have the same name, but her name is Adiyemo, and it was like a 2-page letter about how she thought I was her sister, and then she's like, but anyway, I'm so excited for you, and I'm so happy for you, and the reason I got to your book was because I saw an advertisement on Snapchat, and I always click past advertisements, but this time I saw someone who looked like me, and I had to stop and find out more. So just having those interactions with people, and I know what they're saying because that's how I am. I'm like, oh wait, this person looks like me. Let me find out more. So it feels, I don't know if I'll ever get to that point where I realize that I'm doing it for these people, but because people like Lupita and Nyong'o and Angie Thomas have done that for me, I know what they're feeling, and I feel grateful to be giving that back to people.
After 400 meters, go straight ahead, Venables Street, then turn left.
Okay.
Bone. It's her debut novel, and it's out now.
Go straight ahead, then turn left.
Okay. Oh shit. Sorry. Oh man.
After 200 meters, turn left,
Oh
McLean Drive.
no, crash guys.
Turn left, then turn right. Turn right, Adenac Street. Then, you have reached your destination on your right.
Oh, I made it. Whew. I need a cigarette because I almost crashed and I'm at my destination. And they probably would have heard the crash. Biking the street. And I lost my parking spot. So I'm gonna park by the bench. Goodbye, y'all.